What's up, guys? My name is Tanvir Mustafa, and welcome to Leaderpreneur. I know it's been a while since I launched my last video, but I'm just really excited to get this video out to you guys. I'm gonna jump right into it. It's an interview with a gentleman named Hamza Khan, and he's just an awesome guy. He's the co-founder of a startup in Toronto called Splash Effect, which is all about helping the educational industry with marketing and communications. So I found this guy through a website called 10,000 Coffees, which I encourage you guys to check out. And basically, once I started looking into him, I just saw a few TED Talks, which I'm going to link in the description. And they just honestly spoke to me. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it was super inspirational to listen to. And I really encourage you guys to check them out because I feel like a lot of you would relate to them. And so, yeah, we're just going to jump right into the interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Take care. Hi guys, Tanvir here, and welcome to Leaderpreneur. I'm here at the Splash Effect office with Hamza Khan. He's a two-time TEDx speaker. He's built this startup in the middle of Toronto, and he has so many wonderful keynotes, blogs about millennials, and I just thought this would be a cool interview. We matched on 10,000 Coffees, which is a really cool website that I would definitely recommend checking out. But yeah, let's just talk and see what we can gain from each other.
Sorry, there's no coffee here. We just got literally a month ago, and we're just still figuring things out and setting up.
Oh, that's cool. So before we kind of get into more the personal side, can you tell us more about Splash Effect and exactly how you built it and what it is?
Absolutely. So Splash Effect is a digital marketing agency with a specialization in the education sector. So we work with leading colleges and universities and brands that exist in the education space to help them better communicate with students and to improve the overall student experience both at universities and colleges, but also especially online, anywhere where they can access information, utility, amusement about and for those respective brands. And so we offer a number of different services that fall under the advertising, interactive, social media, and creative disciplines. Okay. We work with a small but very talented team over here. There's 5 full-time staff. There's 5 part-time / freelancers that hover around us, okay, that help us to take our clients and help them make a splash in their world. So
Nice. So how did you get the name for Splash Effect? Where'd that come from?
Interestingly enough, I don't want to tell you what some of the other possible names are for Splash Effect. Splash Effect, the name, I think we were chatting before we started recording that Kareem and I, my business partner, we started by recording the proverbial music first and then figuring out the album name, the cover art later. And so what I mean by that is we built up the business, and we built it around a very specific need. We actually had our first client before we even got together. Okay. And around that first client, we put together the infrastructure that is now Splash Effect. And then once we made it down the road, when it came time for incorporation, we can't just be a number anymore, and we can't just be Hamza and Kareem's partnership.
Gotta have an album.
What are we gonna call this, right? So we sat down over some Chipotle and we're like, we had a T column. It's like, in this section we'll write the first word of the company. In this section we'll write the second word of the company. Kareem, what do you like? He's like, I like beaches. I'm like, oh great, so put beach over there.
Okay.
And what are some great pairing words for beach?
Yeah.
Beach collective, beach unlimited. And I'm like, okay guys, we're going about this the wrong way. Like some of the names are just absolutely ridiculous. Like wood grain media. Like what does that even mean, right? Like it's just your typical agency names, but eventually we settled on something that just resonated with us, which was Splash Effect. Okay. Because we had, in our own ways, always talked about the impact of social media, which was our bread and butter at the time, of having a ripple effect. So if social media is done right, it's able to spread through concentric circles of influence. Mm-hmm. And that really stuck with us when we saw the word Splash Effect, because that kind of described in a very ambiguous way what it is that we were doing. And over time, when we thought about our work as far as marketing and communications were concerned, Splash Effect started to reverberate as a theme throughout our work, and it's now become something that we wholeheartedly believe in as the resulting effect of the work that we do.
Okay, and it's part of your vision in terms of making a splash.
Yes,
right. That's
very versatile name.
Yeah, you can use it in a lot of ways. So I want to go back to, so you said your first client.
Yes.
And I want to talk about how important that first client was to your business and to what you've created today.
Oh my goodness, that first client, which is still our client till this day, was absolutely critical to our business. because it was a vote of confidence in two people that did not have a lot of confidence coming into this. Like, we knew that we were good at what we did at the time.
Yeah.
We were both trailblazers in the education space. We were helping Ryerson University at the time to better tell its story through social media and digital media. And we had developed a little bit of notoriety by traveling across the country at different conferences, speaking about the work that we did, to the point where some other colleges and universities came to us and said, how much would it cost for you to do what you did for Ryerson for us? And that's when the gears got, started turning, and we were like, maybe we should think about, partnering over here. And actually, I didn't know that Kareem was freelancing, and he didn't know that I was freelancing. And it wasn't until we went for a pitch individually for said client that we realized that we were duplicating efforts.
Okay.
So we said, maybe instead of you pitching this and me pitching this and us potentially cannibalizing opportunities for each other, why don't we just come together and do it together? And the rest is history.
Oh wow, that's crazy. And you mentioned Kareem.
Yes.
So if you just want to tell the audience watching right now, who's Kareem to you?
Yes.
And how did you guys become a co-founder? And just more, I know this is getting a bit in depth, but from the co-founder perspective, how do you pick one? How do you find one?
That is a great question, man. Kareem is gonna hate this when he hears it, but Kareem is the Dame Dash to my Jay-Z.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding, man. Kareem is more like the Jay-Z to my Kanye, right? So I'm definitely the more volatile, creative, just like, let's throw ideas at a wall and make them stick.
Yeah.
And Kareem's the more balanced, level-headed, like strategic, mogul, if you will. But there's also elements of Dame Dash in there as well, where we keep each other accountable and we help each other out in the best way possible. Choosing Kareem was very interesting. A lot of people at first didn't think that we were a good pair because we were so opposite. We were complete opposites in terms of our outlook on business, in terms of our creative ability, technical ability, in terms of confidence and sales aptitude and whatnot. But the one thing we had in common, which I think is the foundation of any relationship, romantic or otherwise, values. If you are aligned on the level of values, you can withstand anything else. And I think that him and I, there's always this unshakable respect that no matter how tough business gets, no matter how successful we get, there are just some foundations about who we are, the backgrounds that we share, our attitudes towards family, friends, loyalty, trust. That is just the bedrock of the relationship. And that allows us to withstand some of the more turbulent times of Splash Effect, but also to enjoy the successes.
So that's your glue. That's what keeps you
Absolutely
together.
Values, without a doubt, man.
So just for everyone who's tuning in on Facebook Live right now, Hamza Khan, you're an award-winning marketer and entrepreneur. How did you become Hamza Khan at Splash Effect? How did you do that? And what's your story? What's the main points that people should know about your story before Splash Effect?
How did I become Hamza Khan? Wow, it's just a series of interactions, activities, over time, right? It's people that I've met, people that have had an impact on me, people that have had an impact on failures, mistakes, successes, victories, just a whole assortment of this beautiful thing called life stretched out over 29 years. And it's been, to become me, I've had to develop an awareness of not just how I want to be seen, but how others see me and how I'm seen. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
How I want to be seen, how I see myself, and how others see me.
And what do you think is the most important out of those three?
All three work in tandem.
Okay.
But I think that if I had to choose, the most important is how I see myself, because how others see me and how I want to be, and how others see me. Oh geez, I'm forgetting it right now. I need to find a really good acronym for this.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is unshakable is how you see yourself. Like if you're confident in yourself, if you believe in yourself,
Okay.
that is sometimes all you need. Like history shows us that people like. I'm certainly not drawing a comparison over here, but I'm just speaking about the power of believing in yourself. But you have people like Nelson Mandela, for instance, Mahatma Gandhi, so on and so forth, that believed in themselves and their mission against all odds, and that allowed them to have what I think is the most success. The one leadership quality that gives you repeated success over and over again is perseverance, persistence, grit. This thing, like this meta category called resilience. Yeah. And I think that is underscored by your ability to firmly believe in yourself.
Okay. And like you mentioned, often when we reach for a goal, normal goals, stretch goals, whatever you may call it, there are bumps along the way and quote unquote failures. I posted a video recently on my channel saying that I don't really see failure as a failure, and I think what I see a lot from many successful people nowadays is this concept of expect to fail, failure is inevitable, this, that, but
Fail early, fail often.
fail early, fail often, and I'm there sitting there like, why on earth would I want to fail?
And some of us literally can't afford to fail. Like, I think there's so much privilege caught up in that idea. When you look at a majority of tech startups in the Valley right now, they're all white, they're all privileged, right? Not all of them, sorry, like a vast majority of them. I don't have the exact number, but it's starting when you see it. These are people who have the privilege to fail. They can afford to fail fast and fail early, and for fail to be a first attempt in learning. But why don't you try telling that to an entrepreneur in inner city Chicago, right? Who is working 3 jobs, who's looking after their parents, who is a single parent, and trying to build up their company. Failing is not an option for them, right?
Yeah.
So I forgot where you were going with that question. I just had to get that rant out.
Yeah. So in that sense, like that's exactly what I'm going for. For people who failure is not an option, or they don't want to. Like I read this story once saying that if you're gonna go for something, burn the bridges behind you. Like if you want to escape, there's no route of escape, right? There's no if, there's no buts. It's just like I'm gonna do it. Now, given that, if you do hit rock bottom, and if you do fail, quote unquote, I feel like that's a success, because in a sense that is going to show you this is what I shouldn't do next time around.
Yeah, in the worst case scenario, assuming that you have no safety net, assuming that you don't have enough permission space to fail and be comfortable, the minimum thing you walk away with from failure is perspective. And that's valuable, but as long as you have the resilience to bounce back from it, your ability to withstand and adapt to stress, that's how I define resilience, is what I think is going to be critical for springing back from failure, no matter how severe that failure is.
And how do you ever find yourself planning for failure, or like?
No, I try not to. I'm definitely from the school of thought of like, move before you think you're ready. And to quote Robert Greene, 40 Laws of Power, move before you think you're ready. And it's as though your energy will rise to the occasion because you have no other option but to succeed. So I'm not a big believer in plan Bs and Cs. They exist in very faint ways in my mind. But I'm more so like, trust the process, trust that you've done enough good things in your life. You've built up relationships, you've nurtured relationships, you've created infrastructures that allow you to have more permission space. And that's all I've tried to do, is just build up more permission space in my life to try things that will have more risk.
Okay. And you mentioned the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Yes.
And a lot of people have said that book in particular, and what's said in that book, it's like, oh, it's mean, or it's about how you manipulate power, kind of, right? It's the power struggle. And a lot of people have said that, it's just mean about how you use people for power and stuff like that.
You got to take it with a grain of salt, for sure.
Yeah. So if there were, just on the topic of books, now that we're on it, there were 3 books that you would get anyone to read who has this passion or desire to build their leadership capabilities and their intra/entrepreneurial capabilities, what would you recommend?
Wow. First one would be Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Okay.
Then I would ask them to read Getting Real by 37 Signals. It's a book that's about software development, but if you're able to get past software development and see it as an analogy, you will find it to be a very rewarding book. And then the 3rd book, I just read it this past year and it was mind-blowing. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Okay.
That was a gangster book to say the least.
Nice.
Again, take everything he's saying with a grain of salt, but like he just lays a smack down on some assumptions. So, yeah,
that's crazy. So I came across you on 10,000 Coffees. Like I said, I watched your TED Talks, and like to me now, just because we can relate on a bunch of different levels, like you're an idol to me.
Oh man, dude,
honestly speaking,
that's that's putting a huge responsibility on me, but that means the world to me, man. That really does. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. And I met another one of my idols yesterday. I met Gary Vee. Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, shout out Gary Vee. So those are, you're my idol. He's my idol. Who's your idol? Who do you look up to? And who has challenged you from their perspective as your idol?
Wow. I don't tell him this enough, but or at all. My dad, for sure. Everything that I pride myself on as far as work ethic is concerned is just a second-rate version of the man that he is and the sort of work ethic that he's able to cultivate. He's just so selfless, determined, committed. I mean, he is the definition of showing up, right? So my pops, my old man, he's probably not going to see this, and if he does, just know that you're my idol, man. Who else do I really look up to? Bill Gates for sure. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. Like I think they represent for me. Like if I were to ever achieve that level of greatness, I think you can go the Steve Jobs route and just be so insular in your work and just try to create the best work possible. But I think both Gates and Zuckerberg are able to see a bigger picture about humanity, about giving back, about setting an example, and just being selfless in their redistribution of wealth and sharing of success. Those two, and really, really into sort of what Obama's doing right now, man. It's just it's amazing to see him build, again, that idea of permission space. He spent the last 8 years building up enough permission space as the quote-unquote leader of the free world, and now it's using that to create the sort of conversations and pass the laws that are going to have a lasting impact in the best way possible for disadvantaged populations. So.
Yeah, and he's just an incredible speaker.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so inspiring, man, so inspiring.
Do you think talk is cheap, or do you think talk, no matter what, can be valuable? Does everyone have something to gain from someone else?
I don't think talk is cheap. Okay. I think I understand the idea of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ideas are cheap.
Okay. Ideas
are cheap. Everyone has an idea. I can't tell you how many people in my life are like, I got the next big app idea. I'm like, great. Come talk to me when it's an MVP, right?
Yeah.
Execution is everything. Like you can have the greatest idea in the world, unless you've executed on it, it's nothing. Ideas are worthless in and of themselves. But I do think that talk is important as a catalyst to take that idea into a state where it's real, because I don't think you can build things. You can build things by yourself. It's very rare. You have to be a genius. You've got to be like Elon Musk level, incredible at what you do. But talk is a conduit for ideas.
Okay, and I have the same view as you in terms of the difference between Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs. The iPhone launch, the new iPhone 7 launch. I just want to talk about it. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it?
Why reinvent perfection, man? It's a really good phone, and all of my friends are Android, and they hate me. They think I'm an Apple fanboy. Don't get me wrong. I'm sick and tired of Apple, especially around their planned obsolescence. So look that up. It happens with microwaves and toasters and vacuum cleaners. These purchases that are supposed to last your lifetime.
Yeah.
They purposely build in these inefficiencies that allow them to break down so that you can buy new ones. And anytime there's a new phone announced, if you're 3 generations out, you notice that your iOS stops running, you notice that you can't install new programs. It's Apple's way of systemically forcing you to let go of this product that in effect should last for a lot longer, but they want you to get on that treadmill and buy the new product.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get it. That's because I'm 3 generations removed. So I'm an iPhone 5S, I think.
Okay.
So I've missed the 6. I'm now on 7.
Okay.
I'm going to get it. The camera's fantastic. I like it.
Yes, dual lens. Are you getting the plus or the dual lens?
The plus is way too big, man.
It's huge.
It's like a phablet, man. Like it's
a
phone tablet.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. You're not going to miss that headphone jack?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I've been wireless for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So from moving to a more technical perspective, for people who, let's do it both ways.
Sure.
For people who have technical skills, do they double down on their strengths, or do they try and focus on building relationships and social networks, or for people who don't have technical skills, do they double down on their strengths, or do they try and learn more, more graphic design, more web?
That's a great question. Yeah. And I just came out of reconciling with that in my own life very recently. I'm talking 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I stopped building up my weaknesses. And it was the toughest thing for me to do, because I was caught up in this myth that, Hamza, you're a lone wolf. If you want something done right, do it yourself. You don't need a team. You're good by yourself. And that's, Splash Effect, I'm sorry that you're hearing this, but just 2 years ago, I still believed that there was a version of Splash Effect that existed with just me, and I didn't fully indulge that thought. It was just something that was latent at the back of my mind, and a result of me being a freelancer lone wolf for most of my life.
Okay.
But now that I'm a Splash Effect, now that I realize that if you want, the African proverb is so true, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together. I've stopped building up my weaknesses. I've only acutely focused on my strengths. I've given up trying to work on my weaknesses. And instead, I'm hiring my weaknesses, if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm good at. I'm going to stay in my lane where there's no traffic and be really good at that thing.
Yeah.
And I will hire people around me that can compensate my weaknesses.
Okay. So respectfully, I'm going to ask you the interview question that most people dread.
Go for it, man.
What is your greatest weakness?
My greatest weakness? Oh my goodness, so many of them, man. I'm only too happy to go down this route. But let me pick one that comes to mind. I think my greatest weakness is my ability to compromise and sacrifice and defer my own happiness for somebody else's. And I think that works really well in some client settings because that means I go above and beyond the call of duty to help people out. It'll come at great personal cost sometimes, but when it starts costing the business and it starts affecting other people, that's when it becomes really ugly. So I'm thinking about like early days of Splash Effect where we had, I was working on a client project in which I went over budget, over time, and I taxed the resources of my team. But in my mind, I was like, you have to sacrifice, you have to do the right thing for your client. And looking back, I probably would have made a different decision. So that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I think I sometimes lack conviction, which is tough for a lot of entrepreneurs to admit. But that's true. Sometimes I lack conviction.
Well, that's crazy. That's like it's just crazy for you to admit that, and for you to be so successful at what you're doing, which means not only are you able to accept those internal weaknesses, but you're able to as successful as you are. So given that you've come this far, I have no doubt that you've come across a lot of haters along the way. A lot of people who wanted to bring you down, back you down, and I know just from watching your videos and checking your buyers and stuff, hip hop has been a lot behind your growth. So can you tell me that relationship between hip hop and haters within your life, and just tag you two back and forth?
Man, I was just listening to I think was it Blueprint 3 or was it Watch the Throne where there's a hater song with Jay-Z and Kanye?
Was it
I think that was Watch the Throne. I was like, man, this song is speaking to me right now. I do have haters, and I'm grateful that I do, because I think that that's a privilege. I think that means that you are doing something that is provocative enough. You are achieving some level of success that is enough for people to notice and to feel that strong of an emotion towards. And I'm reminded of what 50 Cent said. He said, if you've got haters, it means you're doing something right. Now, having too many haters or having nothing but haters, that's a whole other story. But I think I've got a pretty healthy ratio of people that are happy for my success and supportive, and a modicum of haters. The relationship between hip hop and the haters, hip hop allows me to create a narrative about those haters that allows it to become much more tolerable. Because I think without hip hop, I would look at the 6 dislikes on my TED Talk video and be like, who are these people? Why are they doing this to me? Like, it would be so heartbreaking. But because I've got like the refrains of hip hop playing in my mind all the time, I'm listening to the words of Jay-Z, Kanye, 50, so on and so forth, and I'm able to understand that that's just a natural part of the game. And so it makes the experience of having them that much more acceptable. But I'm developing an appreciation for the role that they play in my life in terms of keeping me on my toes, in terms of understanding some of my shortcomings, helping me see my blind spots.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. And you mentioned you grew up with 50. I told you earlier I grew up with Eminem. So the power of hip hop on our lives, I think, was huge.
Profound, man.
Yeah. And like I said, I heard you talking about this during your TED Talks, and I want to dive into the 2 subjects that you talked about during your TED Talk. So one was stop managing, start leading, and the other one was the burnout gamble. Let's start with the burnout gamble, of course. So there definitely has been times in my life where I think I've taken on so much, and I thought I could do it. I was like, yes, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then I was like, am I putting myself in a worse position than I was before? What are your thoughts on just that topic of burnout?
I think why people burn out is because they're committed to everything but themselves, and so self-care, emotional intelligence, self-awareness is so important when it comes to avoiding burnout and dealing with burnout in a constructive way and recovering from it. I haven't stopped thinking about burnout to the point where I've now invested considerable time, energy, and financial resources in fleshing out that idea in a bigger way. And so you can look out for an announcement that I'm going to drop sometime around December about what the next iteration of my fascination with burnout is going to be. So that's that, man.
Okay, that's cool. And then, so if we move from that to stop managing, start leading, tell me a bit more about that, because I think everyone has the potential to follow but with the mindset of a leader, if that makes sense. Like you're still thinking, you're still able to help build up dreams,
Absolutely.
but think from a leadership perspective. Like maybe this is what we can do, maybe that's what we can do. So I just want to hear kind of what you have to say on that topic as well.
I've worked at some pretty incredible places where I've been a follower, I've been a contributor. Most recently, I worked at Ryerson University in the Department of Student Affairs, where everyone I worked with were all leaders in their own way, even though technically in the chain of command they were all reporting into someone else.
Okay.
So I think it can work. That what I was advocating was a change in management, not as a practice.
Yeah.
Sorry, not as a function, but as a practice. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So management as a function always needs to exist. Like I, as the leader of Splashback, I still need to manage my team. I need to manage priorities. I just don't have a better word for it.
Mm-hmm.
And leadership isn't quite it. But I think what I need to communicate in that moment was how we work and why we work. As I'm Gen Y, you're Gen Z. Subsequent generations, the way we work and how we work and why we work is all changing. It's very different from the way that our parents work, from the way that things were in the Industrial Revolution, every innovation since then. And so I think that there's a lot of organizations that are still treating their employees with a certain level of disrespect and dehumanizing them. But slowly but surely, companies are catching on with this idea that they're younger populations, they're younger demographics. They need something else. They need more than just a paycheck and benefits, right?
Okay.
It's responsibility, creativity, leadership, mentorship, so on and so forth. And I wanted to hit that home in a really dramatic way, and I think that TED Talk would do that.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think listening to that, I'll link the videos in the description, but please do check out the 2 TED Talks, the Burnout Gamble and Stop Managing, Start Leading. Super powerful. I definitely believe that. And you mentioned this generation gap.
Yes.
And I think I'll cap it off with this, that most of my audience watching right now are millennials.
Yeah.
And you've written about millennials in the past, and great articles, by the way. If there's anything that you would say to, again, I'll split this up in 2 parts, millennials that are moving into the workforce, 1, what's the advice that you could give them? And 2, millennials that want to do something on their own and want to really kind of build a legacy for themselves. What do you say to both of those groups of people?
Wow, great question. For millennials that are entering the workforce, I'm assuming you're not starting your own business, you're working at another business, you're helping somebody else or another group build up their dreams. Remember that there is immense power and privilege in being a contributor. Some of the best leaders I know are followers. Even a general knows when to step back and be a soldier, right? So recognize that you have immense privilege and power in your ability to be a contributor at arm's length, to learn, to support. Don't go in with a mindset and feel disheartened while some or a lot of your friends are going and starting their own businesses, while Forbes magazine and Inc. and Entrepreneur magazine are continuing to idolize and lionize entrepreneurs. Don't get caught up in that myth, because a lot of it is sensational. A lot of it is just juxtaposition and frequency and volume of stories about them. There's a lot of other stories of entrepreneurs and leaders that are so small, but they are out there and they are outnumbering all the tech stars and all of the agencies and whatnot. So be comfortable in your own skin, enjoy being in that place, recognize that you are probably going to get a wealth of experience from there that entrepreneurs don't have, because my capacity to learn now while I'm focusing on the day-to-day business is shot. I don't read as many books as I need to. I don't listen to as many podcasts as I should. And I'm concerned that I'm stunting my growth and my learning as a result. I'm learning on the job, but I miss the days where I was a contributor and a follower, because I had the permission space, I had the ability to learn in a more thorough way.
Okay.
And for people that are starting their own business, oh man, I have so much advice for you. But the first thing I will tell you is, wow, I don't even know where to start. Jeez.
Just if there was one thing, gun to your head, that you could tell these people, like what would you say to them?
Invite your gut to the table, because I think that when you start a business, I think you might bring a mentality that's all about, like, let's make sure everything is data driven, make sure that every decision is calculated, make sure that you're planning excessively to execute. I think sometimes as an entrepreneur you just have to start. That one of my favorite sayings is not John Abraham, that's
Bollywood. It's a Bollywood actor, people.
I meant Abraham Lincoln. John Abraham's got like the acting range of a tree, man. But speaking of trees, Abraham Lincoln said that if you gave me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 4 hours sharpening my axe. Right? right? That is fantastic. I love that. I love the idea behind it around preparation, but as an entrepreneur, you probably only have 2 hours. So you have to adjust on the fly. You just have to be okay with just starting sometimes. And I'm gonna paraphrase my last mentor. When you're an entrepreneur, you can't always make the right decisions. You just have to make decisions and then make them right.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's
like a spelling mistake on a business card. You just have to print it and then improve the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. Yeah. I'm just gonna sneak in this last bit here. For people who are checking out Leaderpreneur, people who are following Leaderpreneur, what should anyone do if they want to unlock their leadership potential? For people who don't think they have it, for people who are not confident about themselves, how do they unlock that within themselves?
It's very simple. Set a goal and follow through on it. That's all you have to do. People ask me what success is and what leadership is. I mean, it starts with your ability to visualize something.
Yeah.
So your ability to just see into the future already gives you the ability to be a leader in terms of having vision. And then your ability to commit yourself to take the daily imperative actions to get to that goal is the highest demonstration of personal leadership. It's following through on something you said you would do long after the feeling has subsided.
Yeah.
That is leadership to me. It is putting something out into the world and following through on it.
Okay, that's awesome. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say before?
I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of everything that you guys are doing. I think it's incredible. I think that I see a lot of myself in you, and I'm definitely of the opinion that if I was coming up in the game and your channel and your energy and you existed at the time, that I would definitely be a subscriber, I would definitely be a follower, and I would get a lot of value in this because when I was trying to make a splash in the industry, I had just 2 people that I could look to and be like, those are 2 people who look like me that probably have similar background that I do. And it's super inspiring that the 2 of you who are so out of reach have been able to do it. How awesome would it have been to have had those people in my own backyard, stories of them that are accessible. I think you are doing our generation, the next generation, a huge service, and you're not going to be thanked enough for it. And so I want to thank you in advance for the impact that I hope that this video will have, this interview will have, but so will all the other ones on people like ourselves who want to come up in the world. So
thank you so much. I really
appreciate that for sure.
Once again, guys, Hamza Khan, award-winning marketer, award-winning entrepreneur, co-founder of Splash Effect. Please check out his TED Talks. Again, I'll link them in the description. And until next time, see ya.